Hey y'all, hey, Marshita Patrice here. Welcome to the Sacred Homegirl Collective, where we walk through, talk through, and feel our way through what it means to live a life of faith, joy, and purpose. And this week, I want to talk about the role that dreaming plays in our lives. So we've touched a bit on visioning and um, really the manifestation equation, what plus how plus obedient actions, and also making sure that we have disciplined and clear mindsets, how that contributes to us seeing those manifested promises of God's will in our life, right? And we're still on that. But I really want to dive into the building of the what part, right? Because we say God, the how part is God's, like surrendering that to Him, but really diving in to this what. And what I'm coming to see is that we live in a world that is constantly asking, what are you about to do next? When we're talking to kids, what do you want to do when you grow up? Who do you want to be when you grow up? Right? And it's less about the substance of like, what type of life do you want to live? What do you want your work life harmony to look like? And more about, well, what you're going to do. And so we're all driven, to just like keep achieving, hitting these various benchmarks. But no one has really taught us how to pause and be like, wait, but do these benchmarks that I'm setting for myself contribute to a life that I truly want to live? And I think that because that is so much of the practice, that it's really just like a mind-blowing concept that in reality we are miniature creators because we are a reflection of our creator and we serve a creator God, right? And so that we can truly create the realities that we desire to see. And yes, it does take hard work, but the first place that it starts within, and it starts with the visioning, and it starts with the dreaming, right? So I'm not talking about dreaming in terms of like prophecy and things like that. That is something that the Lord sends to you, that He gives to you. And to a certain extent, sometimes He can give you a direct vision. But this type of dreaming and looking at dreaming as a skill set that I'm talking about is leaning into what is already your birthright. And what I mean by that is like, let's say the Lord gives you this assignment of like, build a table. Build a table that is able to seat 6 people. That's what is necessary. Build a table that is able to comfortably seat 6 people, right? And it's not until you get into more conversation where you may get, and it also needs to be able to be durable to withstand these types of weather conditions. But build a table that seats 6 people. The way that when we talk about co-creating with God, the way that our creativity comes in is the material that we may choose, the color, the shape, the design of that table. There's so much freedom that we have while making sure that it still meets those bare minimum requirements, right? And when we're thinking about dreaming as a skill set, especially if you are at a crossroads in your life, I often employ this when I'm about to make a decision, a huge decision, or I see a decision coming up. And the question I'm constantly asking myself now is not what do I want to do? It is what do I want my life to feel like? And I began to sit and think about what does it feel like? I'm consulting my five senses, and maybe even six, but like, what does it look like? So what are the things that I see around me? Who are the people that I see around me? What tones do they speak in? What are the sounds that are coming? What is the music that is playing? Um, what are the smells that I smell? Right? Is it my humidifier, or it's diffuser, not a humidifier? Is it my diffuser? Is it candles? But what are the smells? Does it smell like clean linen because I'm doing a lot of laundry? Who knows, right? What are the smells? Um, what types of foods am I tasting? What is the taste that's on the tip of my tongue? Um, does it taste like blood because I'm biting so hard into the side of my cheek? Does it just taste, is it just cool? Like, what is that? And what does it feel like texture wise? What are the textures that I'm experiencing? Is it fuzzy blankets? Like, is it that? But then also, what does it feel like emotionally, spiritually? Am I motivated? And do I feel at ease? Do I feel a stillness? I'm asking myself all those questions as I'm conceptualizing what I want the new aspect of my life to feel like, right? And that's what I mean when we say dreaming as a skill set. It is a skill set to picture that so vividly and then put yourself in that moment and imagine the you of how you would feel being in that moment, so much so that it's as if you are like teleported there. The amount of times that I have imagined myself in interviews that I have yet to have, right? In spaces that I've yet to ever walk into, or on stages that I haven't, probably seen yet. But I know that at some point I will be speaking to stadiums of people that I will be blessed to inspire people, no matter what the platform. Like, I know, like I've imagined it so much so that I've like not only pictured it, but then also what it feels like right before I walk onto the stage and how I'm going to feel when I walk off. Um, and to be honest, like in some respects, I have already spoken to stadiums. I spoke at my commencement speech in high school. I spoke at my commencement in high school as a top student, and a few years back, I gave the commencement speech at my alma mater. So I've already done aspects of that, and it did feel very similar to that, but I'm even imagining it further, right? So whatever it is for you on this next piece of your journey, you may be tempted to look externally and try to like, okay, well, these are the logical steps that I need to take. And I'm not saying that we divorce ourselves of logic. I'm saying you don't lead with it. When we think about the fact that our body is in a fallen state, and think about how, if we were not in this fallen state, how we may have operated. When we look at how cells communicate, when we look at how plants communicate, when we look at all these other various life forms, right? There is a nonverbal communication that just literally happens by being in another's energetic field. So what part of what we likely have lost is really the importance of feeling, because our feelings, and I'm not just talking about emotion, I mean literally feeling in the sense of like our senses, right? So those senses that we may not have words for, but there's a knowing that is associated with it. There's so much truth and wisdom that come in those, that when we try to skip over to, okay, this is what we need to do logically, and miss this conversation, whatever strategy we come up with is not fully fleshed out. And we're more than likely coming up with plans and not strategy. And when life is ever evolving, you can make as many plans as you want to. None of the variables that you think is going to happen is really what's going to happen. So your plans really just kind of need to be an outline. But the reality is that you need a strategy. And the strategy is really more focused on having a North Star and taking it as it comes, but knowing and being very clear about what your North Star is and moving towards that. And that's where it becomes so crucial to really tap into this dream, this vision that you've really dialed into by placing yourself in that moment, because you're going to begin to walk and chase that particular feeling in that instance, and you'll get closer and closer until it rushes towards you. So when I think about dreaming as a skill set, it's really going through those feelings, those five senses. But also when we're saying feeling, it's not just the texture, it's also feeling intuitively, spiritually, internally, emotionally. How are you feeling, right? And taking the time to make sure that gets written down, right? That it is documented, because then that becomes a vision that you can then pray over and be like, okay, Lord, this is what I'm seeing. Now I need you to put your God like stamp on it, not just not stamp, like God like swag on it. And so, you know, if you want to toss it out and give me something different, that's cool. You want to make it better, that's your business. But I really make sure that it's in alignment with what you have for me, and really continue to pour into me the strategy of how to manifest this vision, but make sure first that it's in alignment with your will for my life. And I think when you do that and you've written it and you've brought it before him, it does a couple of things. So one, it's following the instruction of write the vision and make it plain so that others can pick it up and run with it. But then it also calls in that promise, because it means that the vision is also now rushing towards you to be performed. So it kind of becomes like you taking this time to dream allows you to pull again from the ether of answered prayer. This vision, this moment, this time that you're taking to really sit in the feeling and experience of it gives you the words to begin to ask for it to come to be. And we serve a consensual God, then it can rush towards you, right? And the rushing towards you doesn't mean that it's going to happen tomorrow or 2 years, right? Because we don't know how far back it had to travel to get to you. We don't know how much more forming you have to go through in order to be able to sustain whatever this vision is, right? Because the other pieces there's going to be a process of you becoming the person that can hold that vision, right? But you write it down, you pray over it, right? You get that stamp. But then the other piece is you're leaving trinkets and breadcrumbs for yourself. You're leaving evidence of God's fingerprints and your fingerprints, evidence of your co-collaboration, so that when the enemy comes and attacks, it's not if, it is when. When he comes and attacks and he tries to attack your memory, you can have moments when You've already made it a habit of whenever there's a decision to be made, or you've been jotting down, you've been dreaming, you've been documenting those dreams and those visions, and you can be like, well, this is what my resume with God look like. So even though I'm in this moment where it's real shaky and I don't see how it can happen, I know I'm not responsible for that. I know that if I'm very married to the what, and I'm married to really just trusting how God is going to manifest this what, and I'm working on being obedient and doing the best that I can to be obedient, and really disciplining my mind, that as long as I keep going, I'm going to hit it. Me and my vision, but the vision that's rushing to be performed, we can't help but to collide into one another. And if I don't see it yet, right, then that means that I got to keep going, because I serve a God that he is not a man that he should lie. And if he's already stamped this vision for me, then it must come to pass. There is no other option unless I stop walking. But it's mine. And so I have to keep moving to claim what is promised to me. And so I know that this may be very different than what we hear in the world and come up with a plan, but how has going off of what the world said really worked? Because if it really worked, you probably wouldn't be here listening to me. Like, let's just keep it a buck. you know, there's no faith, there's no fulfillment in that, right? Like this, it might, it when you first start it, it don't feel natural because it's like breaking down conventions and mindsets and ideas and various ideologies that we've been taught. But when you begin to move in it and you begin to see how your life transforms, you're gonna be like, oh, hey, you, hey Marshita, how you doing, girl? Favorite Sacred Homegirl. That thing didn't work for me. So yeah, I just encourage you, please share what you're dreaming, what you're visioning. If you made it this far in the video, please, please, please be willing to subscribe, share, comment, but then also I'd very much encourage you to subscribe to our newsletter. It's in the description below. And just check out the cool things that we have on our website. But the newsletter has weekly journal prompts and different things, so that not only are you getting this information, but there are ways for you to apply it. So with that, y'all have a beautiful week. You hear? And make sure you're pausing and dreaming. Okay? I don't know. I think I'm trying to make that happen. I don't think it's working. Y'all have a good day.